get this popping. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you may find yourself as you listen to this, and welcome to the show that is too tired to look up English or Spanish translations. It's a black and white thing featuring A1 and A Ward. What's good, everybody? My name is A1, one half of the dynamic duo. Please remember you can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, searching for the show It's a Black and White Thing or Brands and Bars. Rate, review, subscribe, share. You can also are you hold on, wait, are you trying to position the TV?
No, I'm just getting underneath the light because I was feeling real like this is the darkness, you know.
Yeah, you can also check us out on social media by going to @Brains and Bars on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Checking out the show there as well. We're more active on Twitter than any other site, so please follow us there. And we are also live on YouTube where you can check out most episodes of the show. We go live at least once a week. So please rate, review, subscribe, comment, share, hit the like button. We are appreciative. And as you can see, I don't do this show by myself. I got my guy, A Ward, in the building. What's good, sir?
What up, y'all? What's up, y'all? Happy New Year, 2024. You made it. You made it to 2024, and you're like me. And you remember being in like middle school saying, man, you think there will be a such thing as 2024? You know, you start to feel a little old when these numbers just keep going up and up and up and up, and you're like, dang. But nah, man, it's been a good 2 days thus far, I guess. And yeah, Happy New Year, y'all. Appreciate y'all locking in with us. Yeah, do everything he said to do. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. And we're gonna try and be a little bit more intentional. We say this every year, but we're gonna be a little bit more intentional.
I feel like we're a little better this year. We were a little better in 2023.
Yeah, but we're like one of those players that's like on his rookie contract final year, and it's like, all right, like this year we need to show y'all that we're worth, you know, the next contract. All right, so this is our final year of our contract. We're gonna make some moves, and we're gonna do some stuff, man. But it's good to have you guys for real.
For sure. Yeah, man, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Like, I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm just going to hit the share on my Twitter from the personal page.
Got you.
And then we can get it popping.
Indeed.
All right, man. So let's get into it, man. This is going to be a college football heavy show tonight. You know, had a lot, as you can see from the title, with so much drama in the CFP. You know,
can you see my clap man defense? Yo, she better have a steal. Yo, you better get a steal if you up there. So much drama.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, college football playoff games went down yesterday. Like I said, drama-filled games. I don't know if both games were good. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But and actually we can start now. Let's jump into Bama versus Michigan. Michigan prevails in overtime 27-20. Blake Corum runs, I think it was the first play from scrimmage, either first or second play, takes it in for a touchdown. Bama gets down to the 3-yard line, fourth down and goal. The play gets blown up from jump, low snap. Jalen Milroe can't get the momentum, the actual scientific use of the term momentum, to get himself propelled forward before being blown up by the interior of Michigan's line. And Michigan beats Bama in the Rose Bowl. So I want to start by asking this question. Do you think that was a good game yesterday?
Oh, was it a good game? No. I don't think it was a good game. I think it was a solid game. It wasn't, I mean, because it was, if those are two different names, if we're just like watching like Wisconsin and Texas A&M, we're changing the channel. Like those same plays, you know what I mean? Like, because it's Bama, Michigan, and because it's for the college playoff, you know, to see who goes, that's why we stayed glued to the TV. So I don't think it was a good game. I think it's I think that the parallel universe is that Alabama always wants to be the center of attention, and the center that they had
bars
gave them. I feel bad for that kid? No, but I'm pretty sure that there's a feeling of that center was just bad all game long.
I mean, look, he's not alone in that though, because the entire offensive line
Yes.
was bad all
First round
game
draft
long.
pick, what the right tackle that Stewart basically bullied on that last play. Oh my goodness! But
I
yes, the
mean,
offensive line was bad. They were bad.
yeah, 5-star offensive lineman, freshman, and Caden Proctor did not have a good game. I think it's J.C. Latham struggled at times. Like it was
And can we talk
everybody.
too about how Michigan was doing everything they needed to do to lose the game too, like muff punts, muff exchanges on extra points. The first play of the game, they're lucky that wasn't an
Lucky.
interception. I know Michigan won, but like they're not going into this game the way I'm looking at Washington going into this game. I ain't gonna hold you.
Listen, and this is my thing. I don't understand what it is with Michigan when they get in this playoff where they just go, how can we turn the sliders up and make this as tough a game as possible to win by just self-inflicted mistakes? They did this in the TCU game last year. They had what, 2-3 pick sixes or 2 scooping scores in that game that helped TCU win that game. The first, like you said, the first play from scrimmage. And if Caleb Downs could keep his heel up, but before he starts his jump, Bama would have the ball at about the 30-yard line to start the game. And I don't understand what JJ McCarthy was doing in that moment. Like, throw it to the 5th row. Why is it even in the vicinity of a player to be intercepted, especially when there was nothing there? And I want to say this. There has been I just want to even start. I want to start right here. There's been a lot of talk I've seen on Twitter. One, I feel like the part of the reason that football is king in this country is because we lie to ourselves about the game. I saw a bunch of great Rose Bowl, incredible game.
No.
The committee got it right. This is what we want. No. I'm sorry. Did we watch 2 separate games? Because all I saw were 2 teams that did not. If you want to talk about excellence, if you want to talk about great play, you didn't see that. No. You saw it in spurts, right? Bama has 2 really good drives. Otherwise, Michigan's defensive plan was, we don't believe your offensive line is built like that, and we don't believe Jalen Milroe's built like that. Yeah. So we're going to blitz and run stunts and games all game long on pass plays because we don't think you can pick it up, and we don't think your quarterback is poised enough to handle it. And they were right. Like, I do have to give Michigan credit for their defensive game plan. They're the best defensive team in the country statistically, and they showed that last night. But that was just – Bama looked like they did against South Florida.
Can we also give credit to the offensive coordinator that we heard the quote the day before the game that told Jalen Milroe, yeah, you're not a quarterback. Can we give that offensive coordinator some like, listen, I was the first one to say after the Texas loss, Jalen Milroe is probably going to be benched. He's not going to end up playing quarterback. He surprised me. He had some very, very good games. You know what I mean? He's obviously an athlete. But I think you saw once again that, like, from a throwing the ball standpoint, from a, quarterback IQ standpoint, from a, putting together drive standpoint, like, he's not that guy.
So I'm going to give him a little credit.
Heisman, I mean, after you beat Auburn, my guy, you beat Auburn.
And you should have lost that game. You should have lost it. Let's keep it a stack. You should have lost that game too. And here's my thing, like, Jalen Milroe has an opportunity right now. His trajectory to me mirrors Jalen Hurts. It mirrors Jalen Hurts in that Jalen was an excellent, like you said, a great athlete, someone that could use his legs well to help the offense move down the field. But as a passer, he was not it. And if you watch his progression through the year, he did play better. But again, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself and get to this point, so I want to save it. But when you look at this Bama team, and I don't know if you were with me when I did the show when I talked about this. I don't think you were. When people keep talking about the SEC and Bama and Georgia, well, historically, these teams have been great in college football playoff games. The SEC has been dominant in the college, and I'm like, guys, unless we're talking about those historic players from those other teams on this one, none of that old stuff has any bearing on what we're watching now.
Yeah.
Bama was a good team all year. right? Like they weren't a great team. They beat a good team in Georgia. And I feel like sometimes we get caught in this.
I don't know if there's not there. Are you just saying there's only one or two great teams in college football?
There's no great teams in college football to me
Okay,
this year.
all right, okay. Well,
Like
then
I don't think there's a great team in college football this year.
okay.
I think there's a bunch of good teams who are doing enough to win.
Okay,
right? Michigan is a good team that did enough to win because outside of those two drives, like I said, the one to tie the game and the one right after they went down 7, they were just it was a bunch of 3 and outs, a bunch of 1 first down and punts, a couple of drives where they get in the field goal range, right? But other than that, it was nothing. And yes, the defense has to get some credit for that. But other times it was, listen, give JJ McCarthy credit for making a great catch, getting the pass off on the flea flicker.
Oh yeah.
But it's them trying to run another. I'm not sorry, it wasn't a flea flicker. I'm sorry, it was a lateral backwards pass.
Yeah.
But then the flea flicker goes awry when the linebacker comes through the line so quick that I almost called him Connor Stallions. I had his name on the brain. That Blake Corum can't get the ball back to McCarthy fast enough. And so, again, yes, the defense deserves some credit. But
they played desperate. I mean, some of the play calling looked desperate, like as if like they just didn't trust their ability to like put together drives without the trick plays and But yeah, it was not a great watch at all.
At all. And like I said, so I want to segue to this point. Florida State could have done what Bama did in that game. No. Let's stop beating around the bush. So after the game,
Florida State put up 6 points against Louisville.
17.
Same thing.
17. Bama put up 20. And guess what? Florida State did that with a third-string true freshman quarterback.
That's who they were going to be playing against Michigan.
No, they were not. Tate Rodemaker, if they were in the playoff, Tate Rodemaker would have played. He was not going to transfer. He was not going to transfer if they were in the playoff. If they were in the playoff, he would have been starting. You would have had Johnny Wilson. You would have had, I can see it's Keon Coleman, right? You would have had their full complement of players in the game. And you would have seen Florida State, who has a great defense as well. Now, that's one thing.
So he didn't announce his transfer before the selection?
No, it was after. He announced it like maybe a week or two before that game against Georgia.
Gotcha.
They would have
Gotcha.
Before the game, a week or two, they would have had their full complement of players. They would have been able to hold down Michigan's offense the same way Bama was. And they probably, because to me, Florida State has better skill position players, they probably would have put up more than 20 points, in my opinion. And their offensive line wouldn't have been so overmatched. Their offensive line would have held up against that blitz pressure, and Rodemaker would have been able to do just enough to have the same outcome.
Speculation.
I guess you could say that because, everybody's response to me is, well, Michigan would have blew them out. Michigan didn't blow out Iowa.
No. Yeah, Michigan. So it would have been a similar game with less ratings.
And that's the point. We would have gotten a competitive game that would have looked a lot like what we saw yesterday. Yeah. And maybe Michigan prevails, maybe Florida State prevails. But Florida State earned their way into the playoff. And nothing that transpired yesterday on that field changes my mind on that in any way. They earned, and I get it. Some of the Florida State guys were chirping after the game, and I'm like, "Listen, guys, wait, whoa, hold up. Y'all opted out. You get a little leeway for me. Let guys like me carry that water. Guys don't say anything, especially if you didn't play against Georgia.
Right?
I understand why you don't play against Georgia, but." Yeah. Hold up. Matter of fact, let's just segue to them and talk about Florida State against Georgia. I don't even know what the score was. It was like 63-3. Yeah, the final score.
Yeah.
All right. So they play against Georgia. Most of Georgia's team does not opt out. They choose to play. They beat the out of them. None of that chant. No chop. No nothing. They beat the feathers off of the headdress. Off the Seminoles, and I don't know what bowl game it was. I didn't even watch it.
Man, they not only did they really beat them badly, I mean, Georgia's second stringers were in by 10 minutes to go in the third quarter, and they beat them badly. Like the starters were up 42-3, and then the backups beat them 21-0 in a quarter and a half. Like it was bad.
Now, to be fair to Florida State in this regard, I understand why you don't play. You feel like you were robbed. If you beat Georgia, it does nothing for you. If you were in a competitive game with Georgia, it does nothing for you.
I don't know, because in Florida they're known for throwing themselves a national championship parades without winning national championship trophies. Like, I mean, we saw Central Florida do it. What if Florida State goes in and beats Georgia and then just throws themselves a parade?
That makes them look even worse than how they already look now. Like that, like you can't make this situation any better. So there's no point of you winning the game, and hurting yourself. And to be honest, this is not just Florida State is the issue where it's most magnified. But I think you posted in one of the groups that we're in about bowl season has essentially become meaningless because of so many opt-outs. And I have a to me the plan to fix it. But what do you have any plans or any ideas on how you fix it? Because I've seen people say, well, once you go to 12 teams, then all the bowl games matter. I'm like, no,
Not all
no.
of them.
If you
Four
don't
bowl
make the
games
12,
matter.
right. If you don't make the 12-team playoff, you're still going to have all these opt-outs, all these kids choosing to enter the transfer portal, go to the draft or whatever. So do you have any ideas or any way to try to fix the bowl system to make sure that all of the games are relevant to at least to the fans who want to watch those teams play?
Well, so here's the thing about it is, you have to go to the reasoning of the opt-outs. So you have to find out why are players opting out. One, money. Rather, I'm going into the NFL, I might be drafted, and those kind of opt-outs are probably never going to get fixed. The first round guys, if they're not playing for a national championship, it almost makes sense. It doesn't matter. Now there's not a lot of those players. Then you go to the second reason, and it's transfer portal. They're getting, the transfer portal is obviously your announcements are coming before the bowl game. So if you're transferring, you're not playing, So I think you have to really key in on the second option, and you have to say, hey, like announcing these transfers before the bowl games, I don't know if you push it back to a certain date after the bowl games or what. I don't know what the leverage or the advantage is for kids to announce that they're transferring now. That's not the only time they can announce. They can announce. I mean, Caden Salter just announced today from Liberty.
I'm pretty sure the kids who are playing late into like bowl season, that gets extended for them, or maybe he already put his name in and he's just now announcing it. But they did shrink the window. I think it was 45 days, and they shrunk it to 30. Let me.
I think mostly it comes with the announcement of that. But I just don't. And the way to remedy the first one is, I guess, to just pay the players that are in the bowl games. Pay the guys that play, and if they win, pay them more. And then guys will look at it and say, yeah, all right, well, I don't want to opt out. I want to go make this $10,000-$20,000, so I can buy my nice suit for the NFL draft, or rent out. You know what I mean? Like that's the only two options I think is to move that transfer portal. But I know signing day affects the transfer portal because you need to know who you got transferring in, so that signing day, guys that are committing to you that way as well.
So the transfer portal, let's see, does it say how it changed? It doesn't say. It went from 60 to 45 in football. So basically from December 4th, whatever 45 days is from December 4th, you had to announce your name. So that's why Caden Salter could announce today, right? But yeah, I think that is the issue, right? Is you have early signing day in December, and like you said, some of these kids want to make sure that they have their spot locked in place before there's no more room.
Yeah.
But I think you hit on two things that are important. The first is money. I do think the schools, if you want Florida State to play, if you want Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Jared Verse, maybe even Tate Rodemaker. if you want these guys to play, the schools need to be authorized, not an NIL, not some sponsor, not some booster. The schools themselves need to say, hey, Johnny Wilson, or I'll go Keon Coleman because Keon Coleman is seen as a first-round pick. Keon, here's $8 million, right? Because it can't just be, well, here's 100,000. Like that's not enough.
Oh yeah, we're not handing out millions for them to play in bowl games. I mean, because these bowl games really don't matter for the record, bro.
They don't matter for the record, but in terms of
they're just for the fans and like bragging rights and like, hey, I won a Peach Bowl.
But it's the only way you're going to get guys like, because I feel like Jalen, there were 2 injuries, and the one that sticks out because I'm a Notre Dame fan, but there was a second injury, that brutal injury that happened that same bowl season. It's when my guy Jalen, I'm blanking on his last name now.
Who did he play for?
Notre Dame. He tore his ACL against.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. Defensive player, right?
Yeah, linebacker. He was considered a top 5, top 10.
Smith, Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was other common last names are popping in mind, and Smith was not popping up. But when he tore his ACL, I think there was another like brutal injury from a kid who had like first, second round potential. Happened that same bowl season. Then next season, you have Christian McCaffrey sits out. I want to say maybe Leonard Fournette sits out that same bowl season, and it just kind of ballooned from there in terms of kids choosing not to play the game. But to me, that's the only way you're going to be able to get some of these first round draft pick guys, second round, maybe even third round guys to play, is to say, hey, okay,
I'm not opposed to those guys not playing. What I am opposed to is 29 opt-outs, or or 10 starters, or you got 3 guys that enter the transfer portal, 2 guys opting out. Now you have a whole different team. You know what I mean? That's the problem. Like I said, as many teams are in bowl season. How many bowls are there? There's probably 20.
I think there's 34.
All right, so there's 34 bowls, 68 teams. Like you're looking at how many?
43.
That's way too many bowls. First off, it's way too many bowl games. But like, so those 20 that we care about, you're looking at, a good amount of guys, probably a player per team, maybe 2 players per team. That is going to be like a first or second round choice, or it feels like it. That I'm not mad at that. I wasn't mad at Joe Milton opting out. I was like, wow, that's a great opportunity for Nico to play. It doesn't count towards his red shirt. You get the audition to see what it looks like for next year. I wasn't mad about that. And so I am mad when I see like, we just played against a team that was missing all 3 defensive backs, 2 interior linemen, the quarterback on offense, their running back, and their starting wide receiver. And it's like, all right, like, what are we doing now? Because one, I was even talking to my dad about going to the game, like going to see Tennessee, Iowa. And it's like, do you want to travel for an unknown, or to see, like you might go there and the team might just be trash because nobody wants to play, like,
I don't know how many people opted out for Iowa, but they're just trash, like in general, like with their starters, at least offensively.
They didn't have very many opt-outs, but they were still missing their injured. I guess he's a first-round defensive back as a white guy.
Cooper DeJean. He's leading the revolution.
I never really watched him all year, but I seen him on the sidelines. And I was like, let me go check this guy out. Apparently, he's nice.
Yeah, he's leading the revolution. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jason Sehorn is somewhere with a victory cigar. Like we back in style, baby. We back, man.
I even looked at him like, are you sure he's not a little mixed? But no, he's white. He's white. He's white.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, to me, you got to play them. You got to pay them. Shout out to the homie Dre Senior. He has his channel called Cut the Tech YouTube channel, and his slogan is "Don't pay me, play me." Cut the tech, but in this, you cut the check. Like you gotta pay these guys. And to me, I think the other thing that you hit on, and this isn't an original, unoriginal idea.
Backwards. It's don't play me, pay me.
My bad. You're right. Don't play me, pay me. Yeah. I got that backwards. Excuse me. Yeah. Pardon self. Don't play me, pay me. Cut the tech. Yeah. So, the other thing is you got to move National Signing Day back to February.
Yeah.
You got to move National Signing Day back to February. Why
not? These kids are still flipping every day. They don't know what they want on December. They're still not going to know what they want in February. It's okay. Just move it back.
Man, so I say this as a Notre Dame fan. To me, the early signing day makes a lot of sense for a school like us, in part because one, even though NIL is becoming a bigger part of Notre Dame's brand, they're using it in the traditional way, right? So I know Cardale Jones had a tweet about Miami after they lost to Rutgers about, man, like y'all chasing this bag to go to Miami to play in front of 2,000 people, and lose like and play for the worst coaches in the country, the worst facilities in the country, and play in front of 2,000 people. I hope y'all enjoy that bag, but sometimes all money ain't good money. And I'm paraphrasing part of what he said, but that was the gist of his tweet. And so, like, there's a kid named Justin Scott, who's from Chicago. Like, this is Notre Dame's backyard. And I don't understand why he even says this, but he's at the All-American Bowl, and he's like, yeah, I was going to sign with Notre Dame. And I'm like, but why didn't you, right? But he committed to Ohio State, and then he flipped to Miami, and I'm pretty sure NIL was part of the reason why he flips.
Yeah.
Because they're probably saying, you come here, we got a bag for you. And so I think for schools like that, like the early signing day helps you, right? Because, and not just for Notre Dame, but every school, right? Every school is having to recruit these kids all the way up until the last minute. I mean, look, Notre Dame tried to flip Caleb Beasley for like 7 months. Yeah. Right? Like he's a Vol commit. He's a cornerback committed to the Vols. They tried for like 7 months. Be like, yo, come for an official visit. Come for it, right? He never wavered. So kudos to him. But like to be able to stop having to play that game in December versus having to carry it for 2 months, I can understand why coaches wanted it in December. But like I said, with that transfer portal, yes, if you push it back to February, then yeah, maybe Tate Rodemaker still plays in the game. Maybe some of the other kids from Florida State, maybe they still play. Look, as a Notre Dame fan, I really didn't take any pleasure in watching them beat the tar out of an Oregon State team that didn't have that. Their head coach left, their first and second string quarterback left, running back, offensive line, like all these players, right, leave the program. And credit to Notre Dame, credit to Georgia, who Notre Dame lost like 20 players. But they still were able to keep most of their defense intact, which was the strength of their team. And then they have recruited well. So they have a bunch of kids who were staying or who were getting more playing time that were decent players. And so, you end up beating the tar out of Oregon, and you feel, like I said, like it's not as fun as if DJ Uiagalelei was still there and we beat them 48 with their entire team. So
now,
yeah, man.
Like the pressure now these days is I was completely off the kids when it comes to National Signing Day. Because one, DJ Ungi, however you pronounce it.
Anyway, yeah.
Obviously he starts at Clemson. He gets his year that he was supposed to be the guy. He goes to Oregon State. He's the guy. Now he's at Florida State. I don't know. He might win a starting job there. But I'm saying, like, back when back when you had to announce that you were committing to a school, you were committing to them for 4 years. And if you weren't committing to them for 4 years, you were committing to them for 2, and you were losing a year, And so now it's just like, well, my uncle wants me to go to Florida. My mama wants me to go here. You know what, if that don't work out, I'll be at Florida next year. You know what I mean? Like, it's really like it's not that big of a decision anymore on the initial school that you choose to go to.
Man, so I went and looked this up, and I don't have the numbers in front of me because I had to pull up my other laptop, but I looked at Notre Dame's classes, right? Because I think you put out a tweet during National Signing Day that it has lost its relevance. So I wanted to see like just how much, like how many kids. I think I started in 2018 through Marcus Freeman's last class in 23 to see just what percentage of kids are leaving from these classes, right? And so my hypothesis was 30%. Right, that was my hypothesis. Like less than 30% of these classes are turning, the roster's turning over. Not counting kids who were grad transfer out. I mean, kids who leave before they get their degree.
Yeah.
Right. And I think if I remember correctly, starting from 2018, which is the bridging the gap from Brian Kelly to Freeman, the numbers were right at 34%, 35% of the classes. So I think there was like 131 kids, and 40 or 50 something of those left before getting their degree from Notre Dame. And the thing about Notre Dame is it's like, because they're such an academic focused
Yeah, that's what I was
school,
gonna say. That's a different type of,
you can still graduate in 3 years. Like if you start going to school, if you are an early enrollee, depending on how you carry your classes, you can graduate in 3 years from Notre Dame. So I mean, like, but under Marcus Freeman, that number's really dropped the last 2 years. And so I think part of it is the culture you build. I think part of it's the culture you build. Obviously, playing time is going to have to do a part of it, right? Like part of the reason Tate Rodemaker left is because Florida State was recruiting heavily in the portal for a quarterback that they knew was going to start over him, and so he wanted an
now Jordan
opportunity.
Travis is just going to be injured, right? Is that it? Is he just going to redshirt?
No, his eligibility's done, so he's going to the draft, right? And some team he'll probably be a 4th or 5th round pick, and they'll let him, rehab. But
Hendon Hooker it.
Shout out to my uncle. My uncle says the portal is hurting college football. They need a better plan on how to use it. Like I said, I think if you push the portal back to February and push National Signing Day back to February, to me, that allows a lot of these kids to play in these bowl games because it allows them to get more tape, right? Like a Tate Rodemaker who played the end of, I forget, I don't know if it's the Boston College game where he gets hurt. I don't think it's Boston College. I think it was a later game, but whatever game Travis gets hurt, then he plays the Florida game. He suffers a concussion in that game and doesn't play again for Florida State.
Yeah.
So if he could have put one more game on tape against Georgia, who had most of the guys, like to me, if he plays well, that's a plus for him.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's an audition, man. It's an audition, really. Live game situation. With Nico, I was like, man, I get to see Nico play. He gets to start, but I also get to see Nico against Iowa's defense. That's going to be one of the better defenses he sees outside of 3 or 4 teams on next year's schedule. And so it's kind of like, depending on who you're playing, it's a good thing.
Shout out to JC. JC said, "Do you think NIL has a bit to do with it too? Knowing the money will always be there no matter where athletes commit to." I mean, it depends on who you are. Right, like the bag isn't there for everybody. Like the majority of these kids who are entering the portal are not entering the portal because there's a bag of money waiting for them at their next destination. It's playing time. It's knowing that they got kids that they're coming in, they're going to be playing over you, and they're chasing an opportunity, whether it be at another Power 4 conference school or whether it be down a level, Division II, whatever. Right, guys are chasing. It also
might be a small percentage, but it might be some guys that they rock with that are underclassmen that are committing to schools and they want to go play with them. And there's no penalty for that, one of my best friends was a junior on my team last, when I was a senior or a sophomore. Oh, now he's going there. Boom, I want to go play with my dog,
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with the portal in part because coaches don't have to sit out here. Coaches get to move however they want. They get to move as many times as they please, and they get to leave these kids who, I get it. People tell you to commit to a school, not to a coach. But these guys are committing to these coaches because they built bonds and relationships with them.
I also think that a lot of these guys that are entering the transfer portal are entering because they want to, but are also being told, maybe you should look at transfer portal options, by coaches. And what we do is we throw it all on the guys that are just going. But I'm like, maybe coaches are like, hey, you might get 12 snaps in this bowl game if you want to, but if you want to go ahead and declare for the draft or if you want to hit the portal, we ain't going to be mad at you either.
Look, man, Deion Sanders tried to deny it. He tried, and to me, it was a crazy lie to put out there, but his introduction to the Colorado team, he told them to go jump in the portal. I mean, he literally, to me, it was we're in this place in society where people can get on the internet and say things and then turn around and go, "Oh, I didn't say that."
Yeah, it's right there, my guy.
Bro, in 4K, bro, literally got it, filmed it and put it out for the world to see and said, I'm coming and I got my bag. I got Louis. I got my bags coming with me and they're Louis. So go ahead and jump in the portal. Then turn around and say, "Wow, them kids jump ship. They quit." I'm like, come on, bro. Come on, dog. Like, don't do that. But to me, those are the 2 ways to fix it. So now let's segue to that. My uncle said he didn't watch any of the bowl games until yesterday. I know the ratings were terrible. So here's the thing. Degenerates are going to keep bowl ratings afloat. People gambling on
Well,
Syracuse
not only
versus
that, it's like, bro, we love football, man. We do. You
true,
know,
true.
like
But as
we
I
love bowl games more than we do the XFL and the Canadian Football League. Like the bowl games are, you know what I mean. And let's be honest, the Pop Tart. Come on, man. The Pop
if
Tart.
you do it right, if you do it, the Pop Tart Bowl, I did not watch the game, but I mean the Pop Tart Bowl, at least from a social media standpoint, it got a lot of publicity because of, at the end of the game, you get to eat this Pop Tart. I mean, look, the Cheez It Bowl,
Yeah.
right? The little Cheez It mascot
The
running around
Duke's
talking
Mayo
about,
Bowl. We love seeing the coach get drenched in
oh
mayonnaise. Come
God, no, we
on,
don't.
man.
No, we don't. No, 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 we
Yes.
don't. No, that's the oh God. And they just go over the top. I see people squirting mayo in their mouth.
No.
Oh God. No, 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 no. But yeah, the Pop Tart Bowl, dude, like, I mean, like, great advertising. The Cheez It Bowl saying, I am not edible.
Yeah.
And I favorited a tweet from Spencer Hall from he has Channel 6, his little Substack, and he's like, I'll be the judge of that, muchacho, about him not being edible. So, I mean, I think if you market them right, I do think if you have interesting matchups, people will watch. And there's nothing we love like a crazy college football game. Like, I know there was one game where a team was up 28-0. They ended up losing like 38-35. So, I mean, like, when you have those types of things happening, people will tune in because, like you said, I think there is something about college football that draws in the degenerate gambler, the casual viewer, and it that will always exist.
Something I want to add. There are a group of colleges who still believe they are elite, right? Like elite college football teams. My college included, Florida State included, right? So the thought of them in a Duke's Mayo Bowl is a failure, right? Like even like from a fan standpoint and from just a feeling, like, you know what I mean? But there are teams out there like Kansas, like South Florida, like whatever. And it's like, yo, getting to a bowl, whether it's for a championship or the January 1st bowl or not, is a huge success, And so that's why it's like these bowl games, like there are some, they're necessary for some teams because it's like, yo, this is our opportunity, to reward us for playing pretty well at times this year, And it's like, I
Yeah.
understand Florida State saying this is a dud, but if that was Kansas or Central Florida, you know what I mean, or somebody that didn't get in at 13-0, them playing Georgia in the Peach Bowl would be we playing Georgia in the Peach Bowl. Let's go play. Florida State's like, nah, we're Florida State. We should have got in. F that,
Yeah, and I do think, like you said, sometimes when you see some of these matchups, so KU played UNLV.
Yeah.
And both of those teams had really good seasons for them. And two, whoever won was snapping like a really long bowl drought.
And it was a good
right?
game.
And so, and it was a good game. High
Yeah.
scoring, good game. And so, like I said, you will always find people that are going to tune into bowl games for storylines like that or good branding. And so, yeah, so this comment from JC, that Deion press conference was like the one SpongeBob episode where that dude replaced Miss Puff in boating school. Leave my classroom if you're not man enough.
I'm gonna have to go watch that episode.
But yeah. So, again, I think bowl season is always going to be fun to watch. I just hope they can find a way to entice schools to or entice the players to play in the game. And to me, like I said, the only way you can do that, push that portal back and pay those top guys at least $1 million. At least, depending on who you are, $1 million to a cup. Like Jaden Daniels is not going to play in that game. But can you
You're
entice
asking
Malik
schools
Neighbors
to pay it though? But don't you think like Cheez-Its could afford it? Like Cheez-Its could be like, hey, Marvin Harrison Jr., we need you playing in this game.
How about this? How about they go Dutch?
But here's the other thing, though. What do you pay him, and then he goes in there and he gives you half effort, or he's not there on the field for every snap. Like then you have to ask yourself, like, yo, am I paying you to play, or am I paying you just to be there and for the team to think you're going to play?
So I'll say this: I think that the kids have not developed that type of mentality yet.
Okay, I ain't mad at that.
I think if you throw them a bag like that, especially if it's something like I said, like if you throw, Grant, I'm gonna throw this $10 million figure again. If you say, yo, Keon, here's 10 million.
Yeah.
Right. So that way, if something happens to you and your draft stock hits, you at least got that 10 million on top of whatever draft insurance you have, right? Because these guys who are playing now, are having these draft stock guarantees. Jalen Smith had one where if he wasn't a first round or if he wasn't a first round draft pick, I believe he was able to cash in like I think it was like $8 or $9 million. So again, I think to me that's how you fix it. That's how you fix it, in my opinion. And
All
yo,
right, let's
JC,
segue.
man,
Let's segue to the best performance from a team in a bowl game thus
oh
far.
my
I
gosh,
got to
oh my
bring you
god,
one of my Bears. Oh yeah, heck yeah, heck yeah. We're there,
yeah,
JC.
yeah, let's do it.
We won Fields. We won Fields.
I mean, so we're gonna jump to that in just a second. But first of all, Notre Dame was dominant, right? I know you want to talk about Tennessee.
That's
I
true.
mean,
You guys
but
were dominant. You were dominant.
they played one of the worst, probably the worst offense in the modern history of college football.
And we played one of the best defenses.
But you're going to get so many opportunities because they can't score. I think they said
this. How many weeks did they make sure the under was hit?
I want to say it was like 9 weeks in a row.
Iowa has kept the same energy all year because the over under was 36 and a half. If Iowa had scored it all, the over would have hit. They're like, wow. You know what? We're gonna let Tennessee get the 35, and we're not gonna give anything to this over.
That is
what I will say
crazy.
is this: backup quarterback, third string running back, backup wide receivers, 2 backup defensive backs. Like we were missing, I think 6 starters. 35-0 on the other end. So Florida State, I get it. You're missing a lot of guys, but other teams were doing the same thing and came out there and competed.
But I don't think Florida State, I think it's an issue of depth, though. Like, I don't think Florida State was a top-heavy team, right? Obviously, the committee felt that as well. They were a top-heavy team, and once you start to strip them down,
the committee was right. I think right. They were a top-heavy team.
I don't think the committee. Still think the committee did wrong by them.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think they were a top-heavy team, and once you start to take away all of their offensive talent, you go back to the kid who, God, he's got to be scarred for life. Because Louisville's not a terrible defense, but then you go face Georgia, and that's got to be no fun. When you are a first, this is your second time starting in big boy college football. So
I didn't pay attention. What did Louisville do in their bowl game?
They lost.
They did.
Yeah, but I don't know how many. I don't know who opted out, who played in their bowl game. So I mean, again, I didn't watch that game. I just know they lost though.
I think Tennessee scored. Yep, they did, didn't they? The most points Iowa gave up all year.
Oh, they lost to USC.
Who Louisville did? Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah, that kid went. I think that kid threw 6 touchdown passes.
Yep.
Miller Moss.
The most points scored all year on Iowa with our backup quarterback, third string running back, backup receivers. Even Michigan. Michigan beat them. So the 3 teams that Iowa played that actually have that are actually good. Penn State beat them 31-0. Michigan beat them 26-0, and Tennessee beat them 35-0. They didn't even score against a ranked team, bro, all year long.
I don't understand how you can, like, it's not like
Brian
they're not
Ferentz
trying.
Set that team back.
but they fired Brian Ferentz like 8 weeks ago. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's deeper than rap with that. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand how you could be that inept. I don't know. All right, but let's jump into this other college football playoff game, man. Washington versus Texas. God, did that game start late?
Man, I fell asleep. I didn't even know Texas got the ball back.
I woke up to the final drive because I couldn't do it. Like, I couldn't stay up. So 35-31?
Mm-hmm.
35-31 final. Kind of crazy how that game, basically Texas gets the ball back because
37-31, but yeah.
37-31, thank you.
Yeah.
37-31. Texas gets the ball back in part because Washington's running back gets injured, stops the clock. That gets them the ball back. They're able to march down the field, got down into the red zone, but could not finish. Really good game, really fun game. Texas I don't know. Like to me, Michael Penix and Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan and Rome Odunze, they're just I forget the name. I know the kid's last name is Johnson who plays running back for him. They're just really hard to stop. They're really
I don't know if it was during the game or after the game. It was like he was 19 for 20 throwing the ball to those three receivers for like 300 and something yards. It's like, bro, like that's like shooting free throws. Like that's just like every time he threw the ball, it's like, what? And then the Westover kid, the little tight end, he was kind of nice too. You know, he made a few good catches and stuff. And I'm just like, my goodness. And I put it in there. That man puts the ball on the money.
On the bro. Even the one that got tipped, I don't know if it was, I think it was Jalen Polk, where like he throws the pass, and
tipped and caught it in zone.
Malik Muhammad made a great play. Like he's in position. He did everything but tip it. And I mean, he just misses tipping the ball, tipped up in the air. Polk, and even that was just a great throw. It's just Polk didn't catch it cleanly the first time.
Yep.
Washington has, at least from a Vegas standpoint, to me, they defy the odds in some of their biggest games. They were underdogs both times against Oregon. They were underdogs in this game. They're underdogs against Michigan. And I'm looking at that and I'm going, I get it. Michigan's defense is really good. And this is going to be the best defense that Washington has played. Oregon, I looked at it today. I think Oregon has a top 30 in terms of total defense statistics. Michigan is number 1. But to me, Michigan, if they're going to go into this game and think they're going to be able to muff punts and throw terrible interceptions and not move the football, they are going to be in for a long night.
All they need to do is look at this: 430 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's what that man threw for. Like it was nothing.
And it's just they're so efficient, man. Like they're so efficient. Like they are. I think I saw somebody put a tweet out that said something to the effect of, man, what would the Chiefs' records be if they had those wide receivers?
Yeah, I know, right? I didn't realize in watching Michael Penix, he's literally a pocket passer. Like he don't really get out and do that. You know what I mean?
He ran, to me, that game is the most he's run all season. It kind of reminded me of CJ Stroud versus Georgia. The knock on CJ Stroud was CJ Stroud is a statue in the pocket. He does not really move around. He doesn't run at all. Yeah. And in that game, he ran for yardage. I don't think they had any design runs, but he scrambled when he needed to. He moved around in the pocket when he needed to. And in that game, I don't know if I tweeted it or said it in one of the groups we're in. I'm like, to me, CJ Stroud cemented himself as the number 1 pick that game against Georgia because he showed you, hey, I can move around. I can do this. And to me, he's shown it in his first year in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think Penix is going to have to use his legs against that Michigan front four. Like I think, I still think he's going to be able to stand back there and throw the ball, but he's going to have to get first downs with his legs too.
True, and I think, but to me, one of the things that Penix does well, to me, on par like a Drake May, even though he doesn't have quite the stature, is he maneuvers the pocket well, right? Like he sees the rush well, he can maneuver well, and still find his targets. And this is, to me, this is the difference between Washington and Michigan. And I'm taking, you can tell me who you got, but I'm taking Washington to win this game.
Yeah, I'm taking Washington too. Yeah, just based off the 2 games that I watched, and based off even like the Iowa win was not impressive for me from Michigan's standpoint. The Ohio State game is always going to be impressive. It's Ohio State. I don't care what you say. That's an impressive win. You know what I mean?
Facts.
But I think Washington has been. They've played Oregon twice. They've played Texas. They've played to me a better schedule. They've played in games that they had that adversity or whatever. And I think that you're gonna have to get 31 at least to beat Washington. Because I agree. I think they're putting up 28, 27, 28 at least on Michigan's defense.
And to me, the reason why I think they win is because Washington has pros at wide receiver.
It's going to be a touchdowns for field goals type game. It's going to be like, they scoring touchdowns.
Now,
they're scoring touchdowns too.
I'll say this: Michigan should have more success than they've had in a while because Washington's defense is not as good as Ohio State or Bama or Texas or Georgia's, right? So they're going to be able, they should have success moving the ball. Can JJ McCarthy make good decisions with the ball? Can he protect the ball, not throw in insanely foolish passes that get picked off or almost picked off? And can their special teams, which almost lost them, bro? My heart stopped when he tried to field that punt at the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, son, I forget what the saying is. If it's 10 and in, let it in, or so. I forget what the saying is.
Yeah, you
but
put
like
the heels on a 10. I know that.
Yeah, like what are you doing? Like the only way you touch that ball is if you're Desmond Howard. If your name is not Desmond Howard, do not catch that punt. And then he goes and it bounces in the end zone. Anyway, Michigan, if you shoot yourself in the foot like that, if you give Washington extra possessions, short fields, they're going to make you pay. I get it. Your defense is amazing. It's really good. It's really good.
Yo. I don't know if I'm laughing at the pause or the illest naysayer alive.
I am laughing at the illest naysayer alive for sure. But like if you allow them extra opportunities, that's your tell, Mr. Postman. They're going to score touchdowns. And so like I said, I'm taking Washington. You got Washington. Y'all let us know what y'all think. Who y'all got in this game, Washington or Michigan?
If we're being honest, it's just much better for the college football community to hear the Washington fans talk about their national championship rather than the Michigan Wolverine fans.
I mean, listen, as a Notre Dame fan, I would prefer for them to have their hearts broken and in the most dramatic fashion possible.
And it's really tough having a good friend with Jesse be such a
he's such a good guy. I
love my guy to death, but I could care less to have, unless for some reason we're just rewriting history and Michigan's going to win the national championship because the last time they played for one was in '97, and then next year Tennessee wins the national championship because the last time they played for one was '98 into '99, so maybe we're working our way there.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, man, I just can't see it. I can't see it. So y'all let us know what y'all think, man. Who y'all got? Washington, Michigan. I got Washington. Ward has Washington. Who y'all got? I'll throw a poll up on at Brains and Bars on Twitter. Shout out to my pops in the building.